folks, Jonathan here on another adventure. Going to pick up another engine and another shot in the dark. In other words, we don't know if it's going to run or if it's not going to run, or if it's, you know, blown up, knocks, smokes, what. So, but anyway, we're on our way and we're coming up on Rockingham Motor Speedway, which used to be called the Rock NASCAR. And on the left side, well, directly in front of us just about, but we're curving to the right a little bit. And on the right side was going to be the drag strip and Rockingham. And, you know, this used to be a busy, happening place. And, you know, it's pretty much dried up since the racetrack is closed down. But that's it right there. And like I said, the drag strip's over there. And something's going on because I'd passed a truck hauling a drag car there a little bit ago. So they're definitely having a drag race of some sort. But there is the Rockingham racetrack. I see what they're doing. They're having Mopars at the Rock, 17th and 18th. That's April. That was a Mopar I passed it, so I kind of thought that would be part of it, but I guess they're not having it yet. But anyway, that's the Rockingham drag strip and racetrack, and now we're past it and we're headed to actual Rockingham. And we've got to go through Rockingham and into South Carolina, just a little piece, and get down here and pick our engine up. Alright, coming up on the state line, crossing back into North Carolina. We've already went to and got the engine. Wonder how bad the road is here different. Oh goodness, North Carolina roads is awful. Alright folks, we got the engine, we made it back, and here it is. And this is a Buick straight 8 and 49 model, and you can tell that it was definitely not a 320 by, of course, the cylinder head length. The fact that it's got a 3-bolt carburetor. Serial numbers are here on the engine instead of back here. So there's a lot of little ways you can tell. The cylinder head on a 320 will be 34 inches long, a little over, and then on a like a 260 and all will be 31, a little over 31 inches, and this one's a little over 31. So that's what this is. Fellow that he buys cars and he parts them out on eBay, and he bought this 49. It was a 4-door, and he stripped it completely down, and I guess he sold all the chrome parts and a lot of little stuff, and he listed the engine for sale. So I bought it, and just like you see it, he had no idea if it ran or not. You know, what you see is what I got, and you know, I just bought it as a taking a chance. So I've got a 3-bolt carburetor that was sent to me by a subscriber, and I'll show you it, and we'll maybe get it on there and see if we can do a start. Well, the other good thing too, I wanted to say, this was a 3-speed on the column, so I've got bell housing and all the parts in there to be able to make it, you know, a lot easier to change it over to a you know, a Seb or Warner T5 or something like that. Okay folks, I got this unloaded off my buddy's trailer. He brought this to me while I was down in South Carolina, and this is actually a Chevrolet 6-cylinder, but out of a boat. And this was a running engine and all, and they had some rot in the boat. But whether this thing's still a running engine or not, we don't know. I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be serviceable or not. Depends on if it's stuck or not. We haven't checked. But I don't know. I'm not real familiar with the drives and stuff, so I don't know what drive this is on the back. I'm sure somebody knows, but anyway, we're going to check it out and see what we can do with it. If it's not stuck, we can probably do something with it. Now, one of the things I had talked about before on the carburetor, this has actually got a 2G carb on it, and this is actually a 2GC because it has the choke up here. 7.0, so it's pre-1976, I think. And one of the bad things about this carburetor is it will not have any metered vacuum. And the reason for that is a boat carburetor. Matter of fact, I don't even see any vacuum lines coming off this carburetor at all. But there's no vacuum advance on the distributor, and there's no vacuum in the carburetor for the vacuum on the distributor. And so it makes it where you can't operate a vacuum advance. So you wouldn't want that carburetor for a regular vehicle, at least unless you change that bottom plate to where you would have metered vacuum. So anyway, this is, you know, either going to be something we can do a start on, or it'll be a parts engine. I'm assuming this is a 250. It don't have the tall covers. If it was a 292, these covers on the side would be, you know, quite a bit much taller than that, at least an inch. I can check the casting numbers. I just, you know, haven't had time. My phone's dead, so I definitely can't do it from here. So anyway, I want to show you another straight 8 that I've got. Okay, here is another straight 8, and this is going to be some parts for the one we got up there. Actually, you know, this is going to be a smaller engine too, because of the plate here instead of behind. And we can actually use these plug wires, and they're missing on the other engine, so that's going to help us out a lot. This engine, before I'd ever gotten it, had been reined in for a long time. They'd been sitting, and the intake exhaust had been taken off, and I don't know what happened to it, whether it was sold or what, but I tried hard to get this engine to spin over without pulling ahead. But I mean, I tried pretty hard and I couldn't get anything from it. So we sort of decided to save this one for parts. Here's our oil filter that we can unbolt from this one, and unbolt the lines, and we'll bolt it back on the other one. That way we can at least have an oil filter when we start it. And like I said, the plug wires, and hopefully that starter here is going to be, I'm sure, bad, because it's been rained in for years too. No cover over where the brushes are. So anyway, this is probably going to be another, like a 260 or something like that. But it's just going to serve as parts for our other engine until we get it started. So we'll go take a closer look at it real quick. All right, here we got it unloaded, and the guy I got it from it actually made these blocks and had them screwed on there. I got to tighten that one down some, but they make it nice to sit on. Keeps it from falling over anyway. I did notice there's a little crack in the manifold there. Exhaust, which is not an issue, no big deal. They actually made some split manifolds for these things, and a split intake where you could run 2 carbs. Well, not a split, but a dual carb intake, a few other things. But anyway, our plans are just to get it running, see how it runs, and go from there. We got another CAT scan going on. Carburetor was missing, generator's missing, not a problem. Let me see. As you can see, now I hadn't tried to turn it. I'm just going by the guy's word. He said that it wasn't stuck. If it was stuck, he would have junked it. And I believe him. I have no reason not to believe him. So I would bet it'll roll over fine. And I think what we'll do, I'll find a socket and a ratchet, and we might, since there's only 2 bolts holding the valve cover, pop the valve cover loose, see if we can get one rotation, and then make sure we don't have any valves stuck. And because this is another one of the engines that I care a little about, because I wanted, you know, eventually later on do something with it. So John Palmer sent me this, one of the subscribers, and this is an old Ford 3-bolt, you know, the Stromberg style, and I'm sure this probably had a Stromberg carburetor on it originally. We get a wrench to get them off, but it was missing, and I'm sure it wasn't a Ford carburetor. This is the Ford carburetor, but it's a lot like a 94 or whatever. This is in really good shape. It's not stuck. He said that he's 62 and it's been sitting in the cellar since he can remember, and so it's been there a long time. So we are going to take and rebuild it, clean it up, and I don't think it's going to take a whole lot, because like I said, it's freed up and it's not gummed up or anything really bad. But we're going to run a Ford carburetor on it temporarily to get her started and running. I don't know what would have been on this originally. Might have been a Stromberg 97 or what, but you know, the carburetor was probably If it was a Stromberg 97, it might have been worth as much as the engine. I don't know. You know, they seem to sell really well. And I don't even have any. Everything I've got is just the Ford carburetors. The Ford 94s or whatever they are. But anyway, it did come with the cover for the spark plugs, which is neat. I like it. It's got Buick right on it. Makes it even better. So you can see it had some of the plug. Well, it looked like it maybe had all the plug wires on it, and he pulled them off. So that's not a issue because we've got the ones on the other end. We got points in there. That's all we need is a set of points to start with. So we won't be having any trouble there. So I think what I'll do now is go ahead and turn it over by hand. And if it turns over good and none of the valves stick, then maybe we'll stick a battery on it. Let's get her off there and see what we can do. Looks dry. Yeah, it's real dry. That's alright, you can tell it hasn't been running a while. You get a hammer and we'll see if the valves are stuck. That's probably going to be the easiest and quickest way to check them. Alright. Alright, none of them stuck. Okay, I think before we roll it over, I'm going to take some PB Blaster and spray in and get it on the valve stems. That way, when they do go down, there'll be that much less a chance of sticking. Alright. Alright, we're going to try to turn it over. Let me take the cap off. Oops. Well, that's one way of getting it off. That way at least you can see whether it turns or not, right? Well, it's turned over good. I don't feel any loose, so I think any of them stuck. Wires on it, the ground and positive, and get a battery hooked up and just see if it'll roll over. Okay folks, battery's hooked up. I hope it's got power. We're fixing to see. Now he's got these lines off, but I think the oil was drained. So it's not shown on the stick. And it looks like that plug has been out recent. So when he pulled this engine out, he may have drained the oil out. So let's see if we can get it to roll. It's rolling. So now we're going to get a wire and come around to the other side. Just a second. All right. We know the starter will turn. Let's hope it turns the engine. Here goes nothing. Don't sound bad. Don't sound bad at all. You know, I don't think there's any oil in it. So what we're going to do, it's still wet in there. We're not going to start it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to pull the plugs out. We'll blow all this dirt and stuff out here first. See if we can get the plugs out of it. Spray some PB Blaster in there, and then we'll roll it over and see if we got some compression. Mighty. Ever heard of a Mighty plug? I wonder who makes them. I was trying to read them when I was taking them out, and it looked like it said Motorcraft. Never heard of a Mighty. Alright, they all look dark, like maybe they're either burning oil or it was flooding. So, don't know. Pretty equal. So that sort of tells me that it was probably flooding. And it's not a built-up black, it's more just a smutty looking black. But I will sandblast these. And I had people say, oh, don't sandblast spark plugs. You'll get sand in there and it won't get out. Well, you're probably right, but guess what? I don't use sand. You know, everybody calls it sandblasting. I use coal dust. And coal dust gets in there, and if a piece happens to stay in there, all it's going to do is burn the piece out. So it's not a big issue. It's not going to do any damage. So there you go. All right, first things first. Put some PB Blaster in the cylinder. All right, let me roll it over a little bit. All right, we'll just start with number 8. Uh, 55 pounds. Do it again. 60 pounds. A little over 60. Actually 70, right below 70. So as you can see, it's gaining compression already, and it's probably not rings, it's probably valves is why it's gaining. It could be rings seating in, but you know, valve seats a lot of times will get crud on them, but that's fine. You know, that's good for me for now. Number 7. 30. 35. About 40. So it's doing the same thing. Like all these other ones I start, you know, I didn't used to do any compression tests on them because I knew they were low on compression. The reason I started doing compression tests is because I had people tell me that I needed to do a compression test to see whether the engine was good or not before I started it. And that was my whole point when I started doing this, is the fact that compression tests on an engine that's been sitting all these years tells you absolutely nothing. And you know, it's fun to watch, you know, the compression go up from sometimes 0 all the way up, you know, to 100 or 75, depending on what you're messing with. But you know, in the long run, this is really a waste of time. You know, this will tell you if you got a major issue. You know, if you had a burnt valve completely where there's 0 compression, but you know, it still could be an issue with a valve not seating all the way, and you know, it'll build up just like the 39 Chevrolet. There was 2 cylinders that was 0 on it, but there was no valves that was showing to be stuck. And I'm sure what it was there was so much crud on the valve seats that eventually it worked that stuff off. Number 6. Right below 60. Should be no problem there with the compression. It should start. I'll get them plugs sandblasted or cold blasted, and we'll get the I'm going to go ahead and pour some oil in it first, and that way, just to be on the safe side and make sure that we got some oil pressure, because I haven't seen any oil come out these lines, and it should be. But like I said, I think he drained it. I want to make sure the plug's tight and all that good stuff. Okay, I checked and the plug was definitely not tight, so he absolutely drained it. I know a lot of people do that, drain their oil before they pull an engine out. All right, folks, I didn't spill any. That's just that's an illusion right there. All right, we're going to crank it over and see if any oil shoots out anywhere. Then we're going to stop. Hopefully it don't shoot me. Make sure. It just started shooting. Well, there we go. We know it's got some oil pressure. Took a minute to pick it up, but you know, he just pulled this engine out 4 or 5 days ago probably, because I looked at pictures of it and it was still in there just the other day. So you know, that engine wasn't really dry on oil in the bottom end, so don't think I rolled it over, you know, where it had been sitting with no oil in it, because he, like I said, he just pulled this engine out, so he just drained the oil on it. Another good thing, it had antifreeze in it. Actually leaked quite a bit of antifreeze out in the bed of the truck, so that's a good thing. At least we know it's, you know, it had antifreeze, so we know there wasn't any freeze cracks in it. So I guess tomorrow, if I have time and don't get a lot of calls or anything, which I probably will. It's going to be a Monday, so I don't know how busy I'll be, but I'll try to do a first start on this thing. But until then, I appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.